What is going on YouTube? This is Tommy Dev here, and today I just decided I'm going to just rant about the state of Roblox roleplay games. And again, I'm talking about mine too, and especially just because I'm just a little bit upset because again, a lot of games are going away, and even though yes, Gami Renard, his Animatronic World roleplay game got taken down. By the way, he took it down himself though. Why? Because he is just a person who is just very bad. And I'm going to tell you why. You see, I think Parlo exposed him, and that's very, that's very saying because Parlo is also not that great of a person either, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. But yeah, he did some very weird shit back then, and people kind of essentially hated that, and so after a while, essentially speaking, Gami's moderation team saw must have saw all the stuff he was doing and then just decided to leave him, and then now Gami doesn't have any moderation team, so he shut down the game permanently, I believe. Because you can't access it anymore just through Gami anymore. You can't access it. He privated it as a whole, rather than actually keeping the game up for people who want to enjoy their nostalgia, as they say. Now, why am I talking about this though? Well, I used to be a huge fan of Animatronic World before then, around like 2018, 2019, 2020. What happened though was that eventually Animatronic World did not have that many updates, and I got really tired of it. I said screw it. I might as well make my own game, and I was doing that at the time of 2020, 2021. I had a bunch of friends. We all discussed it together, and we decided to try to do it, even though it was a massive failure because we did not know how the Morse worked. We did not know how to do them. So I had a friend who had another friend who could help me at the time, and we did it. We all did it together. And it was amazing to see that, that back then I could do so much more. And again, thanks to the likes of Fusion 360 by my engineering teacher at the time, um, later on I was able to bring CAD assets into Roblox. I actually experimented and figured it out because through like new parts, essentially speaking, like how I did it was pretty simple. I just did a part, I just did join at first, and then when I was doing a new part, I just put new part, so that way at least it wasn't that bad. Um, oh yeah, I need to get rid of this. I'm sorry, guys. I had my webcam off. I have a cover on it right now because my room is a mess and I need to clean it out. Um, so generally speaking, um, I'm kind of just feeling a little bit that Roblox itself is just becoming boring. ZARP or Zombie Apocalypse Roleplay, I think also got taken down a way while back, around like early July, I believe. What happened was that the developer hunt down the Xbox man, who is by the way a Roblox verified dev, mind you, got an enforcement wave ban. Now, it could just be a false enforcement wave ban. We don't really know. But again, I think that that was completely unnecessary by Roblox to do so, and I think that that's just because of their AI moderation, and they didn't want to take accountability for it. Roblox does not like to take accountability because if they take accountability and set precedents, they're likely to get lawsuits because they're a public-facing company. They're no longer the private company you once loved and adored. No. And I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you something too. Roblox does not care about investors. Okay? Now, you may say, well, that's false, because they do. Well, they do care about investors in some way, But I'm talking more about like shareholders, board of directors. Those guys are the ones you guys should be really blaming here. Those are the guys you should really be blaming here, along with David Baszucki, and you know, honestly blame them. Why? Because they're the reason why we're in this situation to begin with. They're the reason why they went public facing company rather than staying private and staying to themselves. Exactly. That's how we would say it. And again, after 2016 and the text removal happened, everything went downhill. It all went downhill from there. Roblox ignored problems. Roblox had problems. They ignored them, even when they were a private company. And then finally, when they became public, then they started getting scrutinized. And now we're in a situation where Roblox has just kind of become a boring cesspit. And in my opinion, is it right for them to do this? Absolutely not. You should be blaming these people. You should be telling these people that they're absolutely killing off their own platform. Roblox should not have been a publicly owned company. It should have been a community made company. Because that is their audience. That is us. We're their audience. We are the reason why they are even still active here. We are the reason why we're still spending their little fucking Robux here. Okay? And I'm not saying that to be entitled. I'm saying it because it's true. Without us, Roblox would just be dead in the water. I'm not even kidding with you. Roblox would not have been what it is today without the majority of its people. And by trying to get rid of that, they effectively speaking decided to just do whatever the hell they wanted to do and ruin their own platform by trying to do so. It's just it astounds me. That Roblox just decided just to ruin their own platform. Of course, don't mind the music. I need to turn off the music. I don't know how. But obviously, I'm saying this because, again, I don't know. It's just, Roblox is no longer the Roblox we knew. Roblox has now become this mega corporation who just wants to take your money, and that's it. And I don't know. I don't know if we should continue this kind of thing. I don't know if we should if I should even try to keep continuing if the chat's just, because they have the chat thing where like you see this, right? Like only people in similar age groups and your trusted friends can chat with you. That's cool. But the problem is that kills roleplays off entirely, alongside any reason to update your games, your roleplay games, effectively speaking. And that in general is just stupid. That is stupidity 101 from Roblox. They essentially killed their own bird with a stone and said, "Look, guys, look, we killed off our own thing." And people wonder, and they wonder why people have stopped role-playing, and they wonder why people have stopped playing their games, and they wonder why they wonder why a lot of their games are going downhill. Why? Because Roblox themselves are doing it. Roblox themselves have decided that instead of using real moderation, they would rather use AI moderation to moderate everything because they're too lazy. They're not even too lazy to get real moderators. They don't want real moderators. They see them as costs. They think like investors. They think like shareholders, like venture capitalists. Those type of people should not have been coming into this business at all whatsoever anymore. They should not have came into this business. And if I'm being honest with you guys, it's not that I don't hate them. I don't hate these people again. I don't hate anyone. of those kind of people. I just think that they shouldn't have entered into like other ventures without knowing what they're getting into. Like for instance, video games is one of them. Like you used to have like people who actually knew the arts and crafts of that stuff. Nowadays you have venture capitalists running around with AAA games and just doing all these things that nobody really likes or cares about. Same thing with AI. AI just used to be just something that was just used in video games, like for instance, like pathfinding and maybe some stuff here and there, but then AI started to be used for more things because of pressure. Because when OpenAI created ChatGPT, they effectively speaking set a precedent that could not be unset anymore, and thus caused hardware prices to raise, and thus caused subscription prices to raise, and caused everything to raise up. And rather than them actually paying people fairly and giving them raises, no, they didn't do that. You know what they did instead? You know what they did instead? They didn't do any of that. In fact, in this generation, if you were to ask for a raise, you would be fired. No offense, you would be fired for asking just for a raise. For a simple raise, for something that you deserve. Something that is for your benefit. They act like as if we are entitled little brats. They act like as if we are entitled. The problem is not that we're entitled. The problem is that you took everything away from us and then decided that we are the problem here, that we are the reason why, as to why you, yes, you venture capitalists, did all of this. You're basically what I'm saying is that these venture capitalists took things away from us and are surprised that we effectively basically are asking for more. That we are asking that we're asking for more than their fair share. And that we're asking for things to happen. And again, I'm not essentially saying that these games should die. I'm not saying that Roblox should be game ended. What I'm saying is that Roblox dug the hole themselves and without rhyme or reason then decided to go public. They ignored all the problems that we have told them since the beginning of time, and now they are complaining about them. And now they're getting panicking. They're panicking because again of the EU with the EU with their I forgot, but it was like child safety laws, I believe, or something like that. Again, I'm gonna say this in general. I don't think the government should honestly be doing this unless they consult with engineers, artists, and the general public before doing so. Why? Because we're kind of getting smarter at this point. We know we know things that they don't. And unfortunately, they didn't do so. They don't consult with the general public. They don't consult with us, the people, the people that are helping them ensure that we make sure that this society of ours actually is doing something and contributing to what is going on around us. They don't want us, in these talks. These venture capitalists don't want us to have a say in their talks. They don't want us to have anything to do with them. Why? Because they want control. They want to control you. They want to make you feel like as if you're hopeless and to just follow along with them as they underpay you and basically make you feel like a twat. And that to me is very much upsetting to me as an engineer. That makes me angry. That upsets me. That the fact is that we're living like this. And with the inflated prices of PCs, mind you, and technology going up, you know how much a workstation should be costing you, in my opinion? About let's say like 1 grand at most. 1 grand. Now, before AI, workstations have kind of costed a little bit upwards of like 2 grand, 2.5 grand at most, 2.2 grand, or even near like one, even near just nearby 2 grand. But what ended up happening was quite simple. AI. These venture capitalists bought all this stuff up, and because of the fact is that enterprises pay thousands of dollars for these computers, like as in like bulk, and rather than selling us, the remaining bulk, they sell us cheap crap, and then they wonder why we complain. They want us to buy into subscriptions. They want us to buy into software related stuff rather than the hardware related stuff, because again, hardware to them is a one set purchase. A subscription, on the other hand, is a monthly purchase or an annual purchase. From a venture capitalist point of view, they're going to choose the subscription version. Because why? Because it benefits them. Because it makes them more money at the end of the day. They can charge you whatever they want to charge you. And they can take away things that you paid for because you only own the licensing to that thing. If licensing isn't owning, then piracy isn't stealing. That is pretty much a simple thing to understand. If you cannot understand that, then I don't know what to say to you, other than the fact that you might be a bit deluded in the head. But in general, what is my point here? My point is that unless we pressure Roblox into doing what we ask them to, they are not going to stop. They are going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again with insanity. And what's going to happen is that eventually, if they keep continuing this, they will eventually go bankrupt. I'm not saying that as if it's going to happen tomorrow or next week or next year. Obviously not. But eventually, what the road leads to is bankruptcy. Because basically nobody's going to play Roblox if Roblox just becomes so restrictive that nobody can play it. It's like essentially having a candy bar. Like you buy a candy bar, but suddenly all of a sudden, because that candy bar is no longer there, you no longer are able to play, are no longer to eat that candy bar, because again, they didn't restock them. They didn't restock them because it's not selling well, obviously. Which leads me to my point. I am not saying that capitalism is a bad thing. I think it is a good thing for the lower class of working class and in general the middle class. Because again, we're the ones who are the backbone of society right now. We are the ones who are paying these subscriptions right now. Are the venture capitalists the ones paying the subscriptions? No. Are they the ones using the products? No. Are they the ones who share feedback and criticism? Absolutely not. They are just vultures. They are just vultures who love the idea of controlling you and controlling everything you do. And rather than them giving you a voice, they just decide that they're on the side of themselves because they don't want to admit anything, because if they admit anything, then they will get SEC on their ass, and they will get a bunch of agencies on their ass, and and they will be held liable for everything. They don't want to admit anything. They don't want to go private. Because if they go private, guess what's going to happen? They're going to be paying up everything. They're going to be paying up, billions of, if not millions of dollars for just to go private again. Because their wealth is in stocks. Their wealth is not in, like anything else. Their wealth is in stocks, and again, I'm not saying that investors are the problem here. Investors are just one of the many problems. The real problem is the board of directors, because they get to decide what happens to the company. They get to decide how the company should operate. They get to decide what you can and cannot do on their platforms. It is them who we should be more concerned about. And I'm not saying this to be doom and gloom. I'm actively saying this because right now people are being terminated. People are being, misled by these guys, and there's nothing we can truly do about this, at least as of right now. Because again, our world right now is very reliant on capitalism. It's very reliant on old, outdated methods because again, you have lobbyists. You have all these corporations getting big payouts. Meanwhile, the general public and thereby middle class and working class are getting absolutely nothing in return. But maybe like a paycheck maybe at most. And again, you can't ask for a raise, mind you, in these newer industries. You are treated like a criminal if you ask for a raise, or if you ask something, or if you even have a remote instability, a single kind of instability you have. These people treat you like absolute garbage. They have, and that is why I no longer am, or really don't really want to work in the big main industry. The big main industry is full of a bunch of people who have no idea what they're doing, first of all. And second of all, they just are not the type of people that I would even be interested in at all. Period. Just because they don't have the same mindset as me. I have three main core ideals here. To me, I have idealism, social democracy, and populism. Now, a lot of people are going to kind of probably just move away from the video here, but trust me here. I think idealism is like ideals. Man, I haven't even searched the definition for these, but I know social democracy is like for the people essentially, where everyone gets kind of the share of the pie for democracy. And I think everyone should, if I'm being honest. Why? Because today's industry, we are just not doing well. The world is not doing well in terms of economy, at least in terms of the working class and middle class. The rich elite can keep their stuff. We do not care. But the problem is that they need to pay up more. They need to start paying up more because at the end of the day, these are the guys who are getting big blowouts. Meanwhile, where are the ones here all suffering? Because we are not them. Because we are not the ones in control of our own lives. They are in control of our lives. And I'm not saying that as some dystopian nonsense or some conspiracy theory nonsense like frickin' I forgot his name. In InfoWars, essentially speaking. But in general, I am just exhausted. I have seen all of this, and I myself am exhausted. And again, I'm not going to dig into politics too much, because I'm not a political guy. I'm just a average guy who just works on Roblox games and maybe does some CAD stuff in the meantime. But the reality is that I don't know what's in store once these ideals finally hit them. Once engineers, artists, and the general public band together with these ideals and say, no, we were led by false promises. We will no longer be led by these promises you keep giving us. And I don't think I'm insane for saying this, but I'm not saying that to harm anyone. I'm not saying to do anything to anyone. But I just think that the world is just in a worse state right now because of the way people are. People don't want to think of themselves. People don't want to think of. People wanted to boast about themselves. They want to, because being a boaster and being a very rude person is is thrilling to them. It thrills people to do that. It thrills people to, do that kind of crap. Especially the rich elite who, they have nothing to lose. I mean, they have things to lose, of course, like everyone else, but in general, most people would believe the rich elite. Well, not even most people anymore, but back then, most people would actually believe the rich elite and their governments. Because back then, things were cheap, and people actually made a living, and people could actually, go out and go to vacations and be able to do all these great things that others just couldn't do. But nowadays, you can't even find something good nowadays unless you really do freelancing, and even then, freelancing to people is not necessarily a real job. Freelancing to them is more like just doing whatever it is you can do for money, even if it's expensive as hell. And I don't know what to believe anymore. And with the games in general, the roleplay genre of Roblox dying because of the chat restrictions and accounts being terminated. In fact, one of my friends, as I know of, got terminated on Roblox and lost all of his progress for the Pizza Roleplay Remastered, a game that I actually enjoy and play a lot. And I have been trying to get into contact with the senior developer. There just has been some issues regarding communication, but I think that's just because, again, they're trying to decide on these things, and it takes a long time, and you know, and I just didn't expect that. I just expected like a yes or no answer. It just, what can we do to solve this? Like as an engineer, like engineer thinking is what I want in today's industry, and not just engineer thinking of a technocracy. I also want the general public to be informed. I also want artists to be part of this, so that way, therefore, we can solve all the problems in one big go, or at least not in one big go, but rather in a fleet of people, fleets. Because if we were to do that, then I think that things would actually get better, and that prices would be lowered. Now, sure, would we go back to like 2010's level of stuff? Probably not. But again, I'm just gonna say this here. If we did, that would be amazing. If we were able to come up as people to these corporations, to the government, to these people, and say, you fed us lies. We want the truth. We want to know how can we fix this. We want to know how we can actually involve ourselves in this without being seen as bad people. That would be amazing. In fact, I actually myself just love this type of stuff, and I mean, I'm very interested in these kinds of things as an engineer. I think about the bigger picture more than anyone else, honestly, and that is a very rare trait to have, a very very rare trait to have, in fact. And I, at this point, I don't know what's next. When it comes down to Tommy's RP, my modeler is just he just can't do shit anymore, and I just I just wish I could do something right now, but I cannot. And this is not me being hopeless. This is just the general truth of things. Because right now, we are just not living in the best of times, and unfortunately, a lot of people right now are very much upset, rightfully so upset, because they were led by false promises. They were led by storytellers that the future would be better and that we would have all these nice technology like flying cars, of course, which nowadays people are actually afraid of flying cars, and that's a good thing because again, flying cars can go into houses and stuff. Imagine that today, like imagine that today, like we have flying cars. and we have floating islands and Frigga Arrow and all that. Everyone thought that was going to be the future. But what happened was that the future got expensive to these. Sorry, excuse me. To these venture capitalists. It didn't get well for them, and so instead of them fixing things, you know what they did? They decided to go for this corporate aesthetic because it's cheaper for them. It's cheaper for them to do all these things rather than actually try to improve anything. It's cheaper for them to decide on what they want to do rather than you being able to decide what to do for yourself. They would rather you pay them hundreds of dollars rather than actually try to, survive in this world without a subscription. Why? Because it helps them. It gives them money. And also because of the copyright thing too. Again, I actually had a copyright strike from a Maximum the Hormone video that I made of a slow and reverb thing. What happened was that I essentially uploaded the video, and then it got like 500 views at most, and I didn't even do anything wrong. I don't even think I literally credited Maximum the Hormone, and I literally did a lot of the things that I was supposed to do, and I still got a copyright strike on my channel. And it's still up right now. The strike is still up. I haven't really even requested a counter notification because I'm afraid that they're just going to take my information and run with it. Again, I don't trust these people copyright striking others. It's AI moderation at most from these corporations and companies because they don't want you to have any kind of media. They don't, because they think it's piracy, because they think it's all of this crap. The reality is that piracy is done because some people cannot afford things. I cannot afford a license for music. Do you know how much licenses cost? Hundreds of dollars. A license costs about hundreds of dollars. And do you think the general public is going to want to pay for that? No. You can even try emailing and asking these people, but they're not going to give you a response because it sets a precedent for them. And only does it set a precedent for copyright trolls, and sets a precedent for a lot of these AI copyright enforcement acts. It's because they don't have the ownership of these rights themselves. Even the copyright people who give you a copyright strike may not even have the ownership of said property, and just want to copyright strike people because they think it's funny, because they think it's cool, because they think it'll help them in some way. And I am sick and I am tired of this unfair copyright treatment. And I understand it's the law. But when you are basically weaponizing copyright like it's some kind of stupid thing, you have lost the game. You have basically admitted that you just are just not then you just admitted that you are not essentially I mean, I myself used to enforce copyright on my games, but again, I stopped that. Why? Because the games themselves weren't actually copyrighted. I actually allow people. I haven't even said this. I don't think in at all, but in publicly. But for a lot of my games, my characters, I don't mind if you actually use them. If you want to use them, if you really want to use them or do anything with them, you absolutely can do that. But I do kind of mind if you have it for money though, because again, I am the creator of my own properties, and I would at least love to see, you know, me getting a profit if you get a profit, because that kind of makes it unfair for me. But the reality is this: I am not someone who is just preaching to the wind and just saying these things. I'm kind of trying to be reasonable here, but I'm sick and I'm tired of these kinds of conversations, and I have just been not necessarily worried, but I'm just kind of a bit angry about the fact that we can't come to agreements with these people because these people are unwilling to come to agreements with us, thus leaving us with nothing because again of legal reasons rather than actually, it's because of the shareholders and Wall Street and all this other crap. They should not have gone into industries that they should not have been, that they had no business to be in. And I'm saying this as a person who already said this like 1,000 times. They should not have gone into industries that they should not have been involved in the first place. And that, my friends, is my TED Talk. Now, I don't think I really have anything else to say, guys, other than the fact is that you know, as like a hobbyist game dev, guys, like I really think that you guys really helped me out a lot, and you know what? That's good and all, but for Tommy's OP, it just I don't know where the future of that one is even going to go to, or even any of my games at all, for the most part, up to this point. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Comment down below if you really want to, and about your opinion, and I will respect it. If you want to like, you can like. If you want to dislike, you can dislike. You can dislike. Obviously, though, this is just my opinion on things, and again, if you don't see it this way, that's fine by you. You do you, pal. Anyways, I gotta go. Um, I'll see you guys later. Maybe. What? Yeah. To Connor, though, I think you did say that you did, tell me if I should stream, I believe. I don't know. But, yeah. I'll have to see about that. Bye, guys.